Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith. Welcome to the Grow Tent, everybody. You have found the best growing channel on YouTube, man. The place where we simplify the approach for you so everyone can learn how to grow. We make it so simple, even I can understand. So I'm going to listen and learn right now.
Woo! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Grow Tent. We got a great episode for you today. Today we're going to talk about when is the right time to cut your garden down, what you need to look for, and how I would base my decisions on when the appropriate time to cut actually is versus what you're seeing in the garden, besides just trichome development. Last time, earlier in this month, we had a video, or it might have been last month, we had a video where we talked about trichome development and cutting the plants down based on what we were seeing. Well, today we're going to talk about what other factors we need to put into that, because what if all your plants aren't at the same developmental stage at the same time? Maybe the top half of your plants look done and the bottom half of your plants don't. It's a pretty common problem. Or maybe for some reason the plants over here on this side don't look as done as the ones on the left. How do we make our decisions if these are done and these aren't? All right, so we're going to talk about that today. So stick around. But first, as always, the intro, guys. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, watch the full video, all that exciting stuff. I just realized how much sun I got yesterday. I was washing the cars out in the driveway, and apparently a little too much sun yesterday. I got a little sun. I don't know if a red shirt was the appropriate color choice. Guys, if you haven't checked out our Patreon, we got the best Patreon in the game. Lots of really awesome benefits, so you might want to check it out. You can always find links to us in the video description below. Also, here's a commercial from Mars Hydro. Kind of cool stuff. Guys, you're looking for any kind of new light, new tint, new whatever, check out Mars Hydro. This is actually the second way the channel makes money. It's not as much as the Patreon, but it's still a nice little bump. If you use the code WTTGT whenever you check out, we will get a nice kickback, and you will get a nice discount at checkout for any kind of new lights, new tints, new fans, etc. Mars Hydro pretty much makes anything you could want for your tint. They pretty much make to help you grow. They've got great products. We've been using them for years. They've been the main supporter of the channel since we had only 500 subscribers. They've been a supporter of the channel and a sponsor. So thanks again, Mars Hydro. Please remember to use the link in the video description below. Use our code, get a discount. We get kickback. Much appreciated. All right, that's enough. Okay. Woo! And we're back, everybody. We're back. Thank you for watching that commercial from Mars Hydro. Okay, so into the episode. Today we're going to talk about what we do, what happens when all of the garden isn't ready at the same time. So you might run into a problem like, you know, where the basis of this episode came from. I had a consult last week where the top half of the plants all looked fantastic. They were right at the 15-ish% trichomes that they, amber trichomes that they liked, whereas the rest of the plant was still clear to cloudy. Only the very tops of the plant were ready. And so today we're going to base our decision on what I would do or what I do in that situation where maybe certain plant, maybe one plant's way ahead of the others, or you have, this part of the garden's ready, but for some reason the rest of them isn't. So you might have some of those ones where this will especially come into being a problem if you're growing you can be growing a bunch of different strains. Let's say you have some sativas in the same garden as some indicas. You can run into this problem where everything's not going to finish at the same time. And today we're going to talk about what we do in those situations. Man, I'm straighten the old beard out. That looks good. All right, we're good. So the first one is, generally we try not to grow different strains at the same time in our garden. Can we do it? Of course we can do it, but we try not to do it all the time, because anytime we add extra variables, it makes the grow harder on us. And anytime we're growing, what we're trying to do is reduce the number of variables. And anytime we reduce the number of variables, it reduces the difficulty of the grow. All right, GT, well, what do I do in this situation though? So I always base all my decisions. There will be two ways that we're going to talk about how we fix this. So let's just say we have one plant that is way ahead of the others and they're nowhere near being ready to finish, and we have one that's extremely finished. You can attack this one of two ways. You can either cut that plant down and pull it out of the garden. This is not the way I will usually do it, because I don't like doing things twice. I don't like to go over the same step twice. Or you can leave that plant there, especially if the plant that's ready to go is the one like in the back or in the middle, makes it a nightmare to get out. Sometimes when they're like right up front, if you get lucky and they're right up front, the plant that happens to be going faster, it's not too big of a deal to pull them out. But if you're unlucky, which is usually how it works, if you've got one that's usually the one that needs the most attention or the most upkeep or everything like that, you gotta train it the most. It's better to keep those up front because they're a pain in the butt when they're in the back or in the middle. So we can either chop that plant out of there and fix it if you get lucky and it's like up front, or you can manage to get it out of there. But a lot of times those ones in the middle, it'd just be a nightmare trying to get it out, especially if you've got another 2 weeks that you need to be in the scrog net, and then you're trying to cut it apart out of the scrog net. It's a nightmare. My recommendation would be just to leave it to whenever you pull everything out. So I will base what I'm going to do when I'm going to chop based on what I see in the majority of the garden. So if the majority of my bud, if I'm looking at my plant and I have all, the great, awesome, big cola buds up top, and then like the larvier stuff, you get some of the little larvier stuff because you didn't do as good of a job lollipopping as maybe you should. All that stuff in the bottom is not ready to go compared to the top. It's never going to be. I mean, if the stuff at the bottom that's out of the canopy, out of the light, because let's say you didn't do a good job, lollipopping, is ready, the stuff at the top is going to be, crazy past whenever you would really like it. And remember, we're cutting this down based on how you like your bud. How do you like it? Some people like 5% amber. Some people like 50% amber. So it's based on, the majority of your bud is always going to be at that top portion of the plant. Because remember, we already stripped the bottom third. And then that middle third is the okay stuff. But always the great stuff is always that top third of the plant, the part that gets, all the light and it's up there, feeling the breeze and everything like that. So that's always going to be where you want to center your decisions on, is where is the majority of your bud at. Now, let's say you let the plant get too tall and it grew up into the light and it's all light bleached and everything. That might not be the part you want to pay attention to because it's ruined. Maybe you should, but the bud below that, 6 inches below that, all looks fine. So that's where you'll base your decision on. You always base it on what the majority of what you're seeing, what you're wanting to smoke is at. And generally that stuff at the bottom that you maybe didn't lollipop off, it's not the best stuff anyway. You use that for edibles, whatever, so who cares? But that's how I will base the decision on, where or what I will do if I have one plant and then the rest. Or let's say it's even half the garden. Half the garden is ready to come down and the other half is not. I will still base it on the majority of the bud. Like, even though the garden is cut in half, sometimes it might be like, well, yeah, but the bud over here looks, it's a little bit chunkier, a little bit better. I will still base it. But that doesn't mean you have to do it where you have to cut it all down at the same time. If you've got the room and got the space, the only reason I say it is because a lot of people dry in the same tent that they are growing in. So it doesn't make it an option where you're like, well, yeah, I'm only going to cut down half the garden. And then you have nowhere to hang it because you still have half the plants in there growing. But if you have another space you can take it to, you absolutely can cut down half of that garden and go, take it to your bathroom or wherever you hang your plants up. Or if you've got like a, one of those fancy machines that do it for you, absolutely, you can absolutely do that and you'll be just fine. Most people don't. That's why I kind of vary my information. That direction is based on what the majority of people have. Most people just dry in the same environment that they do that in. Another question I get, well, can I chop off the top half of my plants and leave the bottom half to keep growing? Yes, you can do this. The plant will be just fine if you if you chop off, if you extract the whole top half of the plant. If you go in there and just chop them off, I'm never doing this, not ever, especially for the stuff that's at the bottom. Wipe my hands. But if you want to do it this way, the bottom stuff will keep growing and will keep finishing. You do not have to take it. I am never going to do this step, but you can. You absolutely can do it this way if you want it. I'm out on it, but that is a feasible way to do it. You're like, well, yeah, but the bottom stuff isn't there and I don't want to chop it down before it's ready. You literally can go around and chop off all the big colas off the top of the plant and leave the rest of it to finish up for another week or two or however long you want them to grow for. It is 100% legitimate to do it that way. Do I recommend it? No. Would I ever do it? No. Just base your decision on what the majority of your bud is looking like. If the majority of your bud says, yeah, we're ready to go, always go on what the majority is happening, because you're never going to grow for the minority in the tent. So whatever the majority of your smokable bud, because it's all going to be, these are all living things. So they are never all going to be on the exact same timeline. So that's why we base our stuff on what's going to give us the majority of the bud that we want and the time frame that we want. All right, guys, I hope you guys all have a fantastic weekend. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys next time. GT out.